Snell Cadillac in Mankato, Minnesota.
All right, today we are in the 2021 Cadillac CT5 V. And this is our how-to video. And so on the driver's information screen, this is a 12-inch multicolored configurable display. All right, so you've got 5 zones on this screen. You've got the far left that's got the time and temperature, digital and analog speed, and then you have got a trip computer on this side. Down on the left, you've got an RPM gauge, and over on the right, of course, you have got your fuel gauge along with a compass on the far right, and then you have got what I believe is your odometer. Okay, so let's talk about how you can change information. To do that, you're going to use 3 buttons. So you've got a right arrow, a left arrow, and then a scrolling arrow that you can also knob that you can also click. So at the top of the screen on the right, as I scroll through, you notice the little dashes changing. This is how you access all the information. Each one of these little tabs has a bunch of information underneath it. Okay? So for instance, this one says info tiles. So if you look over at the left of our screen where our time and temperature is showing, we can actually configure that screen, and this is where we do it under info tile selection. So for instance, if I want to see battery voltage, I click. Now I see battery voltage. If I want to see coolant temperature, I can see that. You notice they're all kind of one at a time at this point, but they're a large screen. So this is kind of cool. You got the lateral G-force right there, oil pressure, oil temperature, time and temperature, tire status, and then, of course, transmission fluid. All right, so that is how you change the information that's on the left. What's interesting is that Cadillac has made this so that depending on what mode you're in, this screen changes as well. So let's go down here to the mode button right in front of the shifter, and I'm going to go from mode to snow and ice. Okay, now in snow and ice, I can again do very much the same as I did before, but perhaps this time I'll want maybe tire status, or maybe I would want the ELSD coupling to show. All right, if I go to a different mode, if I go to track, I love how this whole thing changes. Now you see I've got 4 gauges showing up, and the RPM is moved up to the top. I've got engine temperature in the bottom. Okay, so now if I use the scroll wheel, I can go here. I can say, okay, first of all, you can only show 4 pictures at once. So I'm going to deselect all so everything disappears. And then I'm going to pick the 4 that I want. I want to see engine boost. I want to see lateral G-force. I want to see tire status. And then I want to see transmission fluid. And so you can customize what shows up in there. So in sport mode, it looks different than it does in the other modes. Okay? And if I go down here to my mode, of course, then that's customizable, and you can change different things. But this comes back to the way it was before. All right, let's toggle over one to the right. This is your trip computer, and if you notice that on the right of the speedometer, there's a sort of a brown line, a curved line attached to the speedometer, and right next to that there's another little brown line. That shows me kind of how many windows there are. So right now I'm on trip computer 1, but if I use the scroll button, I can go down here to current drive cycle. I can go up to fuel economy, trip 2, and trip 1 again. All right, I'm gonna go over one more to my right. This is the V performance one, and again I've got that same thing, but you notice the brown line is longer now on the left. So there's not as many screens. I like it that the line adapts to how much information there is. But here's your performance timer, lap timer. You've got your G meter right here, and then you're back to performance. Okay? And if I click one more time here, this is your driver assistance. There is no other picture than this. Okay? If I go over one more time to the right, this is your audio. So audio here, if I use these up and down buttons on the steering wheel, I can change my my favorites. And it looks like I've only got one set in there. But if you had more, it would of course show up there. Now, if I click on this knob right here, this brings me to this menu where I can click again on radio media, and now I can browse my sources. So for instance, I have a USB plugged in the center armrest. If I click that, I can get, oh, so there's, as I scroll through it, I get different things. Let's just go to Sirius XM for a minute. Okay, here I can scroll through my channels here. This would be your navigation. So turn-by-turn directions will show up here if navigation is playing from the car system. Not positive if it will show through if you're using something off of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. But you do get a digital compass in here if the navigation isn't running. One more click to the right would be where your phone is, and then you could see all your phone calls and that kind of stuff showing up in here. One more click to the right, and I have maintenance. Okay, so now I'm going to scroll through. You got air filter life, brake pad life, engine life, oil life, air filter life, brake pad life, and okay, that's it. All right, as you keep scrolling down, if you get to the bottom, it just clicks back to the top again. I'm going to go over one more to the right, and here I have some options. So the displays theme. Right now I have it linked to drive mode. So whatever mode I select, that's what it goes to. I can create my own mode theme. I can constantly use the V mode theme if I want. I can ever have it constantly stay on tour, constantly stay on sport, or constantly stay on track. So quite customizable. I just hit the back button there on the left arrow. Speed warning. Okay, if I enable that, then I scroll down here and click again, and now I can set where I get a speed warning at. Okay, I'm of course not going to do that. I'm just going to go to back, and I'm going to push on this scrolling knob here to disable it. Go back one more time. Speed sign recognition, on or off. So if you want it off, just select that and push the rotary knob. I'm going to leave it where it was. We'll go back again. You have units here, tire pressure, heads-up rotation. So you have 3 physical buttons just to the left of the steering wheel that control the HUD. The only HUD control that you have in the dashboard is this one. So if you click on it and you rotate the rotary dial, you can see that display go left and right. And when you have it where you want it, just click the rotary knob to confirm. We'll go back a button, software licenses, and then of course reset to defaults. Hey, we've got one more here, and this is to simplify the display. So if I press the rotary knob, you're going to notice that everything goes away except for the speedometer. Simply press the button again to make it reappear, and now it'll stay back where it was. So that's the driver's information screen and how you control everything. Absolutely love that. Let's move over to the infotainment screen. All right, so the infotainment screen itself is a 10-inch screen, and it has 15 speakers, and it's a Bose Performance Series Premium audio system. Now, on the stereo itself, or on the infotainment system itself, we have a wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, Bluetooth, AM and FM radio, Sirius XM, and HD radio. Now, we have a few physical buttons. We have a home button right here, and it's kind of camouflaged in because it's exactly the same color as the rest of this piece right here, which is really nice. You've got a power on off, you've got a rotary volume, and then you've got a select or scroll to tune like a radio station, and then push to open the app. All right. So above that, of course, you always have whatever media is playing up here, and your 4G LTE Wi-Fi signal up there. Down below, you've got some static buttons that stay here almost all the time, except for like when you're in a camera mode, or if you're in navigation for a while. These will all just kind of disappear, but the minute you touch the screen, they pop back up. And these are dedicated shortcuts. So you got media, which is the same as your audio. Basically, you've got phone, you've got navigation, and climate. What I like about this is that my phone is sitting in the wireless charger. You notice a little electrical signal there. If I take my phone out of the wireless charger, that will disappear. And I just think that's a nice little touch. Lets me know that my phone, yes, indeed, is charging. Okay, then you've got outdoor temperature display and a clock. Now, if I swipe to the left, because I've got 3 dots, one to the left, you get a split screen. So I have climate up here, I have got media here, I've got phone there, and then navigation there. So I can just click on this, and it brings me right to that particular screen. So you can't control it from here, but you can at least see it. Okay. Now with the media, that one you can change channels. Okay. Let's go back a screen, and let's go back one more, and there are just some more apps that are here. Okay, these work just like what you have on your phone. So I'm going to go through a couple of these here to give you some detail on them, but the rest should work very similarly. So if I go to audio, here's some of my sources, but I have a more button here. So if I click on more, I can see more things. Now, I don't have my phone connected yet, and I'm going to do that in a second, and that will also show up in there. So here's my sources. So let's say I want to go to, well, let's go to FM. All right. Now, in this screen, I have got a scan forward, scan backwards. So you can physically type in a station, or you can actually just use the buttons here too. All right, and if you click that little star you saw, that makes it a favorite. All right, over here you've got your sound. So I got bass, mid-range, treble, I got fade and balance, and I've got sound mode. Right, down here you can turn HD radio on or off. If I hit the browse button here, now it shows me up stations that are in my area. Okay, and again, shows me the one I'm on, and I can hit the star on any one of them and make it a favorite. And it's going to be the same for AM. It's going to be very similar for XM. You have a few more controls for XM. You've got these channel buttons right here. All right, let's go back to home for a minute. All right, let's phone. I'm going to show you how to hook up a phone quick. This couldn't be easier. Now, if your phone has near-field technology, all you have to do is turn it on, make sure Bluetooth is on, and hold it within 4 centimeters of this little N symbol on the dashboard, and it will automatically connect. Mine is not that fancy. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to my Bluetooth settings and just make sure that they're turned on, which they are. So then I'm going to hit Connect Phone. I'm going to click Add a Phone. Okay, and if I look down here, it's looking for other devices. So there's my Cadillac right there. So if I click on that, it's going to ask me to pair it pretty soon. And I should be looking for something that says My Cadillac. And there it is right there. So I click on that, and pretty soon it's going to give me a number for my phone and the screen. If they're the same, you hit pair on both screens. Okay, now this is a message asking if it wants to sync all of your contacts, messages, emails, all kind of stuff, allow or don't allow. Because this is not my car and I'm not going to be in it all that long, I'm going to click don't allow. But if this was your car, you'd want to do that. I'm going to hit continue. And now I can just turn my phone off, put it back on the wireless charger, and in a second, it will connect to my phone and it will show up Apple CarPlay. There we go. Notice that Google Maps is showing here, and I've got my media right here. And then, of course, if I do for navigation here, that's the shortcuts here for Google, and then I can add places right there if I want to use my own navigation. Up here, you want a full screen here for Google Maps. You got that. Music right here, and then, of course, dedicated phone button right here with all of your recent contacts, keypad, voicemail, etc. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click the home button right here and go. Phone's going to look the same as what you saw earlier here. It's just all contained within Apple CarPlay. But that's what it looks like. Navigation. This does have built-in navigation. So what I'll show you are some of the basics on here. First of all, you want to type in an address, okay? So you can just click on there and you can type it in, or you can look for recents, favorites, fuel, parking, all of these. And you can just swipe to get them too. All right, so if I click on food, and I can say restaurants, and it'll pop up. I'll say I want to go here, click on it, and then I can say go, and now
please proceed to the highlighted road.
All right, there we go. If I want to zoom in and zoom out, I can use the plus or minus, but you can also just pinch and zoom. It's very responsive, very responsive. Okay, down here, it's showing me a distance, how far I am, I think that's what it's doing. All right, now I'm going to cancel. You notice there's a nice cancel button right here. But first, I'm just going to leave it here for a second. And you're going to notice a lot of this stuff shifts down and disappears, so that you have a even bigger screen for navigation. All right, so let's just hit cancel there for a minute.
Now finished.
All right, if I click on this, here's a lot of my other map settings, my navigation settings. And if you want even more detailed settings, you can go into here. Set up map preferences, route preferences, navigation voice control, traffic preferences, alert preferences, and so on. So any one of these, you just say, okay, route preferences, preferred route, fastest. Your choices are fastest or eco-friendly. And then if I just say avoid on route, anything that's check mark, it will avoid, hopefully. All right. Keep going back here. I guess I should have just pressed the home screen. Okay, Wi-Fi hotspots there. Under users, you can set up a profile based on your key fob, so it will do your seats, your steering wheel, your mirrors, and your preferences in the media, your media preferences. I won't create a profile, but you can do this for a couple different drivers. All right, we're going to skip settings. We'll come back to the end. Here is Apple CarPlay. We've already seen that. There's Android Auto. Does the same thing. It's just for Android phones. Okay, here I've got a physical button for my camera like I had down below, and I can see what's fantastic about this camera is that you've got a couple of different options. So the big orange line shows that that's the camera that's active, so it's the front camera, and it also shows that it's just showing straight out the front of the car. If I go like this, the orange dot in the bottom lines up, that's the rear camera. So if I go over here, I can get a bird's eye view of the back and a bird's eye view of the front. Still got those dynamic swivel guidelines. Okay? Or orange is for your front tires and the gray are for your rear tires. Now, if I go over here, I can see a side-by-side view. So I got my right front tire, my left front tire. If I go over here, I got my right rear tire and my left rear tire. If I want to turn on or off the dynamic guidelines, I have to be in one of these modes here, but then I can turn those off. If I want the 360 to show up as well, I click that, and then this picture comes a little smaller, but you get the 360 here, which I absolutely love. Okay. All right. Let's go back to the home. So a really neat camera system. You've got the My Cadillac app and of course Sirius XM. Let's go for a minute over to settings, because in this is going to be some spots where you can make adjustments that you probably at some point will want to make. For instance, if I go to the top here, time and date. Okay, this will automatically set that for you, but this is where you can configure that. All right, languages. This will manage phones, which if you have more than one phone connected and you're switching drivers, the driver always wants their phone to be the priority, and you can set that in here. All right, Wi-Fi network setup, hotspot setup, privacy, display. Let's say you want the display off because you're driving at night and it's just bright. Everything still works, it's all running. Your turn by turn is still coming up in the driver's information screen. The screen's just off. So basically push any button, doesn't really matter what, and it comes back on. The sounds here is the same as what we saw earlier in the radio. You can look at voice commands here and updates. Now this does do automatic updates, so you don't need to be connected to Wi-Fi at your house. You can be, but you don't have to be. And then of course you have a return to factory setting. Okay, here are the different apps. So we've got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. So I'm gonna turn, that's turned on, I guess that's just the green light. And then of course these are all the ones that you recognize from our screen earlier. You got audio, climate, My Cadillac, navigation, phone, Sirius XM. So under these is just another way to get to the map preferences, the route preferences, all that kind of stuff that you can already get to when you're in navigation. Vehicle. All right, so this one is where you can customize your drive mode. So I go right here. You can go into V mode and you can set, this is so cool, you can set So this is, I want the steering to be touring, sport, or track. And I want the suspension to be tour, sport, or track. So it works the same with all of these. I mean, I think that's just so cool. All right, you've also got some visualization if you want here for modes. Now, some of your safety systems are under here, so that's one I really want to focus on for a minute. This comes with a vibrating alert seat. And so if your sensors go off that there's something happening in front of you, it vibrates the front of your seat. If it's behind you, it vibrates the back. If it's on the left, it vibrates the left. If it's on the right, it vibrates the right. It's really an interesting sensation, but it certainly catches your attention. You can turn that part off and just have beeps if you want. All right, you got forward collision system. You can have it off, alert only, or alert and brake. Okay, and it's going to be the same for a lot of these here. Off, alert, or alert and brake, and you just pick your setting and click on it. Okay, adaptive cruise go notifier. So, since this has stop and go adaptive cruise control, when it comes to a stop and maybe you're distracted and the car in front of you takes off, it will give you a little reminder. It'll kind of beep at you saying, hey, the car in front of you is left. You need to wake up and get going. Rear cross traffic alert. Okay, that one is just an on or an off. But these are really simple. You just go into them, look at the directions on the screen, and they're so easy to follow. Comfort and convenience. Well, I can have the reverse tilt mirror. I can have it on for driver and passenger. So when I put it in reverse, both outside mirrors tilt down, just for the driver or just for the passenger. Rain sensing wipers, enabled or disabled. And so you also, I won't go into it, but you got a teen driver mode, so it does kind of like a geofence, but you can do certain things that will help limit what they're able to do on the car. One of them I know is the volume on the stereo. Okay, now under, all right, so let's go back to home. And I want to show you one more thing. This is the climate button here, and on here, the interesting thing is Cadillac doesn't put like a mode that has, you know, defrost and feet. However, if you turn on defrost and feet, both of them operate at the same time. So you can do it. You just have to click multiple buttons. Okay? I like the fact that everything you need to do is right down here on physically, and that you don't have to go into the infotainment screen. Now, last thing, this does have massaging seats on both sides. So on the driver's side, there's a 4-position power lumbar switch that it then has a circle around it, and the circle has a little knob that sticks up. And if you turn that forward, you get this. So right now, if I use my lumbar, I can adjust the side lumbar on the back of my seat, which is really nice. You can see it, how I'm adjusting it. And I'm just using the lumbar areas to do that. Okay. If I go, oops, I have to use my switch here. Okay. If I go up here to the massage function, and then I can use the arrow buttons here. Oops, sorry, I gotta stay on the right screen. Okay, I've got 3 settings. So I use the down arrow to do that, and I've got 3, 1, and 2, or 1, 2, and 3 for different types of massages. Okay, which is always nice to have. All right, so this part here, let's go back to, you have to click the button on your seat to see this. Let me see if I go back. There we go. So if I go back one more, now I can adjust the inner lumbar. And it shows you which button you're pushing on the side of the seat. And Rob's doing the other seat, so you can see that at the same time. What I like is they allow you to both do it at the same time. So I'm not having to wait for him to finish and vice versa. That's really nice. All right. So I'm going to press the home button again. And that's the infotainment system. I hope that this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.